Hello, welcome to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. In this upload, we will be reading 2 Samuel chapter 13. This chapter is going to be dealing with sexual assault. And it came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister, whose name was Tamar, and Amnon, the son of David, loved her. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin, and Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. But Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shimeah, David's brother. And Jonadab was a very subtle man. And he said unto him, Why art thou, being the king's son, lean from day to day? Wilt thou not tell me? And Amnon said unto him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. And Jonadab said unto him, Lay thee down on thy bed, and make thyself sick. And when thy father cometh to see thee, say unto him, I pray thee, let my sister Tamar come and give me meat and dress the meat in my sight, that I may see it and eat it at her hand. So Amnon lay down and made himself sick. And when the king was come to see him, Amnon said unto the king, I pray thee, let Tamar, my sister, come, and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, that I may eat at her hand. Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, Go now to thy brother Amnon's house and dress him meat. So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, and he was laid down, and she took flour and kneaded it, and made cakes in his sight, and did bake the cakes. And she took a pan and poured them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, Have out all men from me. And they went out, every man from him. And Amnon said unto Tamar, Bring the meat into the chamber, that I might eat of thine hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she had made, and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. And when she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her, and said unto her, Come lie with me, my sister. And she answered him, Nay, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not thou this folly. And I, whither shall I cause my shame to go? And as for thee, thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. Now therefore, I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee. Howbeit, he would not hearken unto her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her, and lay with her. Then Amnon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. And Amnon said unto her, Arise, be gone. When she said unto him, There is no cause. This evil in sending me away is greater than the other that thou didst unto me. But he would not hearken unto her. Then the servant Then he called his servant that ministered unto him, and said, Put now this woman out from me, and bolt the door after her. And she had a garment of diverse colors upon her, for with such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins apparelled. Then his servant brought her out, and bolted the door after her. And Tamar put ashes on her head, and rent her garment of diverse colors that was on her, and laid her hand on her head, and went on crying. And Absalom her brother said unto her, Hath Amnon thy brother been with thee? But hold now thy peace, my sister. He is thy brother. Regard not this thing. So Tamar remained desolate in her brother Absalom's house. But when King David heard of all these things, he was very wroth. And Absalom spake unto his brother Amnon, neither good nor bad. Absalom hated Amnon, because he had forced his sister Tamar. And it came to pass, after 2 full years, that Absalom had sheep shearers in Baal Hazor, which is beside Ephraim. And Absalom invited all the king's sons. And Absalom came to the king and said, Behold now, thy servant hath sheep shearers. Let the king, I beseech thee, and his servants go with thy servant. And the king said to Absalom, Nay, my son, let us not all now go, lest we be chargeable unto thee. And he pressed him, howbeit he would not go, but blessed him. Then said Absalom, If not, I pray thee, let my brother Amnon go with us. And the king said unto him, Why should he go with thee? But Absalom pressed him, that he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. Now Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, Mark ye now, when Amnon's heart is merry with wine, and when I say unto you, Smite Amnon, then kill him. Fear not. Have not I commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant. And the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and every man gat him up unto his mule and fled. And it came to pass, while they were in the way, that tidings came to David, saying, Absalom hath slain all the king's sons, and there is not one of them left. Then the king arose and tear his garments, and lay on the earth. And all his servants stood by with their clothes rent. And Jonadab, the son of Shemiah, David's brother, answered and said, Let not my lord suppose that they have slain all the young men of the king's sons, for Amnon only is dead. For by the appointment of Absalom, this had been determined from the day he forced his sister Tamar. Now therefore let not my lord the king take the thing to his heart, to think that all the king's sons are dead, for Amnon only is dead. But Absalom fled, and the young man that kept the watch lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there came much people by the way of the hillside behind him. And Jonadab said unto the king, Behold, the king's sons come, as thy servant said, so it is. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of speaking, that behold, the king's sons came and lifted up their voice and wept. And the king also and all the servants wept very sore. But Absalom fled and went to Talmai, the son of Ammihud, king of Jeshur. And David mourned for his son every day. So Absalom fled and went to Jeshur, and was there 3 years. And the soul of King David longed to go forth unto Absalom, for he was comforted concerning Amnon, seeing he was dead. In the previous chapter, 2 Samuel 12, the prophet Nathan gives David a story about one rich man taking the only valuable lamb of a poor man. David confesses his terrible deeds that resulted in Uriah's death. David and Bathsheba's son gets ill and dies. Joab sends a message that David is needed in war. Israel is successful. David's second son, Solomon, is born. The current chapter, 2 Samuel 13, King David's son, Amnon, sexually assaults David's daughter, Tamar, with the help of his cousin, Jonadab. Absalom, Tamar's brother, avenges her through ordering the death of Amnon. David made no attempt to correct that situation. Right, summarizing 2 Samuel chapter 13. In verse 1 through 5, we learn that David has a daughter, Tamar. She's introduced to us through her brother Absalom. So, Absalom is David's son. Absalom's sister is Tamar, and she's beautiful. That's one piece of information before the semicolon. After that, we learn Amnon is David's son. So, when we look at 2 Samuel 3, verse 2, Amnon is son of Ahinoam. Absalom is the son of Maacah, and Maacah was the daughter of a king. This is probably why this is worded like this, because Absalom and Amnon have different mothers. I'm assuming Tamar is Absalom's. Uh, they both have the same mother because you know we already know they all have the same father. Okay. We learn in verse 2 Amnon is so sick. He fell sick for his sister because he wanted her, because she was a virgin. And just the term virgin, the term at the top encompasses all of the entries at the bottom. And because we were not present for this part of history, we have to understand that the term virgin could have meant either of these. So it could have been just an unmarried girl or woman. It could be a woman who's devoted to religion, who's unmarried. It could be a woman who has not had, or person who has not had intercourse. So, containing no alcohol. Just saying. So, there's a problem in David's household. One of his sons has a strong desire for his sister. Amnon had a friend, Jonadab. Jonadab is uh, David's brother's son, or Amnon's cousin. Jonadab was a very subtle or crafty man. This is the same word that's used to describe the snake in the Garden of Eden. He asks Amnon what's wrong. Amnon tells him he wants Tamar. Jonadab says, "You know what? Pretend that you're sick and request that Tamar come make you food." So Amnon follows this advice, requests that she makes him food, and David told Tamar to go care for him. When she made the food for him, he refused to eat until everyone left the room but her. They were alone. Then he tells her to bring the food to him. And when she bought them, he grabbed her and said, "Lie with me, my sister. Be with me sexually." And she told him, "Don't force me. This is sinful. She will have no way to deal with this shame." And here, verse 13, she's saying, "Talk to the king. Talk to our dad about this. He's not going to tell you can't have me." He would not listen to her, and since he was stronger than her, he forced her. Verse 15, after he orchestrated this entire event, after he was so sick for her, immediately after he got her, he took her, then he hated her exceedingly. The hatred that he had for her after this was more than the love he ever had for her. He told her, "Get up and go." She tells him that sending her away is more shameful than what he's already done. Amnon calls a servant to put her out and lock the door after her. She puts ashes on her head and tears her ceremonial clothing because the garment that she wore was for virgin king daughters. And this was an act of mourning. So she put ashes on her forehead and tore her garment and cried. Absalom, her brother, learned what Amnon did to her. He told her, "Hold your peace, because this is your brother." Tamar remained desolate in her brother Absalom's house. So desolate means to deprive of inhabitants, to make wretched, to barren, lifeless, showing the signs of abandonment and neglect, joyless, sorrowful, devoid of inhabitants. So after she obeyed her father, ended up having a crime committed against her, now she has to carry the effects of a crime, and all she did was be obedient with good intentions. She has to be desolate, joyless, sorrowful. Verse 21, King David hears about this and does nothing. Absalom, her brother, didn't say anything about Amnon, good or bad, but he hated him for what he did. After 2 years, Absalom orchestrated his own plan where he wanted to, a sheep shearing event. This is in a territory that is away from where they live in the kingdom. And Absalom wanted all the king's sons to go. Absalom asked the king, "Would this be okay? And you should come too, King David." And the king said, "I don't want to be a burden. We shouldn't all go. We'll be a burden to you." Absalom kept asking. King David said, "Okay." Absalom specifically asked about his brother Amnon if he can go, and David's response is, "Why should he go with you?" But Absalom pressed, and Amnon, David said, "Okay, Amnon and all the king's sons can go." So David knows about this. He asks this qualifying question when Absalom says, "Hey, can all of us go somewhere?" And this one brother in particular, David asks, like, well, why? "No, I just want him to come." David goes, well, you know what? Okay, that sounds like it's good enough. When they get to the territory where they're going to celebrate, verse 28 and 29, Absalom tells his servants, when Amnon gets drunk, kill him. And the servants did what he asked. Then all the king's sons fled. It came to pass, incorrect information got back to David, telling David that all the king's sons are dead. So David tore his garments and laid on the ground, and all his servants stood by, and they tore their clothes. They began to mourn. Jonadab, the same character who helped Amnon devise a plan to assault Tamar, he said, you know what? That's probably not true. What probably happened was your son Absalom killed Amnon, the one who assaulted his sister. That's probably what happened. And we knew this had been determined from the day that he forced her. This was inevitable from the day he did that to her. So don't take this so seriously. It's probably only the one who did something. Absalom fled. And 34 and 35 lets us know that the rest of the king's sons, other than Absalom and Amnon, the rest of them came back to David. So they were all fine. The king's sons wept. The king and his servants wept. David mourned his son Absalom every day. Absalom was there for 3 years, and King David mourned him, but he was comforted about Amnon because he was dead. I have some highlights for this chapter. The first highlight is the name Tamar. The first time we see the name Tamar being used is for a character in Genesis 38. Judah, one of Jacob's sons, has Tamar as a daughter in law. Tamar is widowed by Judah's first son, and the tradition is if a woman is left widowed, she marries the next male. So she marries the next male. He dies as well. Judah only has 3 sons. When Tamar realizes he's not marrying her, allowing her to be married to his third son, she seduces Judah and is impregnated with twins. That's the first time the name Tamar is used. The second time we see the name Tamar used is again with her being the victim of sexual assault. The second point I would like to make, Amnon's problem with impulse control and inappropriate attention. It says that he loved Tamar, but he has to lie and orchestrate a scenario to have access to her. And then he immediately hates her afterwards. What makes this so awful is like, not only did she say, I'm sure my father wouldn't keep me from you, just ask him. So she's like, I think we should just ask our father. The princes and the kings, they have access to whatever concubines, whatever women in the city. This was just a crime of proximity because she was there. He hated her immediately after loving her. So I just want to reemphasize, a male family member creates a scenario where he targets a female family member, he violates her, he creates a situation to isolate her and violate her, commit a crime against her, and then he treats her with hatred after violating her. That's what happened here. And there's nothing new under the sun. So that's what happened there. The next point I would like to make, isolation being used as a tool and then as a response to trauma. So, in addition to Amnon lying and saying he was sick, he made sure that all the men were gone before he did something to her. isolating her because he knew he could overpower her and force her. So he isolated her first so that there would be no interruption. Isolation was also a tool, or it's also a response to trauma because it says afterwards that she was left desolate in her brother's home. So, devoid of inhabitants, joyless, barren, lifeless, devoid of warmth. This is compounded by the fact that David knew in verse 21 that he did nothing. When we get down to the end, where there's a rumor that David got saying that all of David's sons have been killed, Jonadab, the one who helped create this situation, is advising David, well, you know what? It probably isn't all your sons. It's probably just the one who did that to Tamar. So this information is, everyone knows that this is what happened. Tamar's assault was known. That has to be pretty isolating as well, that everyone knows that happened to you, but no one's doing anything about it. Or no one's done anything for 2 years before. And all Tamar did was obey her father, obey her brother, obey the men. She ends up violated and having a crime committed against her. And we just move on. The other time isolation was a tool used against women so that they were vulnerable and prone to sexual assault. Judges 19 with the concubine. There was a concubine and her male companion. They were in a home as a visitor. A group of men surround the home, just like Sodom and Gomorrah, demanding that the male companion come out so that they could have sex with him. Instead, he pushes his female companion out and they assault her to death. Being isolated, being the only woman, being away from her father where she was safe, it was a tool to eliminate safety so that she was prone and a good target for sexual assault. Another time, Genesis 34, Dinah, Jacob's only daughter, Jacob slash Israel. She was the only daughter in a family of 12 brothers. There's 4 women that are married to her father, but again, they're all older. They're her father's age. So when they get to a different city, she wants to meet the other women. So she goes out to the city alone to meet these other women, young women that might be around her age. And when she gets there, a prince assaults her. Being isolated eliminates safety, makes you a better target, makes a woman a better target, a more suitable target. Maybe that's a better word to use, a more suitable target. Being isolated, eliminating safety, eliminating witnesses. The next point I want to make: 2 men of status conspire against a woman to harm her. So, Jonadab is David's brother's son, and Amnon is David's son. They conspire together, a prince and another male heir of David's kingdom. They conspire against Tamar together. Again, I just want to point out how evil this is because the kings and the princes have access to all the women of the area. There is no law against sex before marriage yet. There is no law against concubines, multiple wives. There's absolutely no reason to do this, but just she's there. Proximity, there's an evil. Because as soon as he got that, he did what he got, he did what he wanted, and now he hates her. Abuse and proximity. The next point I want to make: David has 17 children from several mothers. all this sex, all these different energies. Jonadab is the same man that helped conspire Tamar's assault, but he's also advising David in verse 32. So David doesn't have discernment when it comes to this, or maybe he just doesn't care since he hasn't done anything to show that he thinks this is wrong. He wants to be there for his daughter. Nothing. The only law right now against marriage is in Leviticus 18, do not marry a woman and her sister. But this is after Jacob/Israel was tricked into marrying sisters. And the crap that he went through, it was a tough marriage for him. To consider all these energies that are around David, to all this stuff that's around David, he can't keep things straight. Now we look at verse 29 to 36. This is when there are servants who are communicating with David that something happened to all of David's sons when it was probably only one. That miscommunication, that lack of discernment from having all this different energy around you. The way God has made laws so far, he creates, he watches, he observes, and then he creates after what he's observed. So the laws, he doesn't just have laws after laws. There was only one law in the beginning of the Bible, a dietary restriction. There were no more laws introduced until Noah. And honestly, those weren't really laws. They were just like a few more guidelines. There's not no real hardcore laws until we get to Leviticus. It's the fourth book of the Bible. Exodus. Okay, Exodus may have had some. Exodus had some laws. David's inactivity in verse 21, verse 32, and verse 39. David was mad but did nothing. Jonadab knew, so this was just information that everyone in the kingdom knows. And then verse 39, David is comforted that Amnon is dead, but he's sad about his other son. So that is all I have for 1 Samuel 13. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. I love you. Please consider like, comment, and subscribe. Please consider. I love you. Have a wonderful day.